Welcome to round 2. Some of you must be wondering what happened. Yes, we have another brand spanking new Crosman Phoenix. It's starting to remind me like the real one. It dies and explodes and gets reborn from its ashes. Well, in this case, we had to go back to Canadian Tire this morning and return my original one to get yet another one. We ended up having some issues while sighting the gun in this morning. A number of times it didn't even want to fire, and I was kind of like, this isn't good. So anyway, I called them up and I can't get a refund. That's North Bay for you. Sturgeon Falls at least would have given me a refund because they did on my 1077. Made that point very clear to Canadian Tire in North Bay. It's like, well, you're going to have to argue it out with the manager on Monday when he's back at work if you have any problems with this one. So we've got the weekend to see if this one decides to die on us. So, so far I mean, like I had said in the first video, I mean, they're worth a look at, that's for sure. Whether or not they're worth keeping around, well, that varies. These are exclusive to Canadian Tire though, so you've got to really talk to them about their policy for returns. Maybe each store is different, who knows. But this is the very last one they had in stock at our North Bay store. And so I figure, well, we'll see what happens anyways. So I'm going to go mount up the scope. It's pretty windy outside right now, so not a good time for sighting in. However, I'm going to take this thing out to the shop. I'm going to Chrony it, and I'm going to put a lot of pellets through it just to see if it can hang on to at least 100 rounds, because I think we may have, well, actually I'm going to have to shoot more than 100, because we actually got about a grand total of, I think, about 100 rounds out of the gun between Chrony it and sighting it in this morning before it failed. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. But, and I'm running Crosman ammunition, of course, because it says it works best with its own. So do stay tuned for more of an update on this thing. I will let you know even within this video. So it'll be instant for you, but a very long afternoon for me. So don't go away. Okay guys, I pumped well over 100 rounds through this thing and it is not failing. I actually took 2 shots too at my target trap because I haven't touched the scope settings. The scope is on it. And it was actually shooting a little bit low from like maybe 7 feet. So anyways, so far so good. So I'm going to just Chrony this for you guys. And I'm going to use a few 7.4 pointed pellets. And then I'll use a couple of those 5.5 grain Prometheus. 491. It's starting to settle out more. Which is good. They say it takes about 100 shots. 493. The other thing they mention is in the manual is to watch the type of silicone products you use, because that 3-in-1 stuff is something you're not supposed to use. However, Crosman silicone chamber oil or other oils like it, no problems. Either way, we do not know the cause of the failure of the other gun. The only problem I got with this one so far is the paint flaking off the trigger like crazy. So that kind of sucks, but that's kind of like car dealers don't use primer on cars. They haven't used primer on cars in decades now. That's why your cars rot out so darn fast. I'll put a couple more pointed pellets through this. The thing is really quiet, which is nice. So we're getting between 480s and 490s with the Crosman 7.4 grain pointeds. They should dial in on the scope pretty good. One thing I noticed on the scope was the front ring actually is lower than the rear. So the scope actually points downward. Alright, so let's run a couple of hyper pellets through. Now, I'm going to actually take a look at my other scopes on my other guns, because that's kind of an odd thing to me, that I would think that it would be even height all the way through. So these are the 5.5 grains I'm shooting right now. And they're shooting fairly consistent and really well. .539. No lockups on the barrel. This one actually cracks open a little bit easier too than the first one I had. Either way, it still has a really good lockup when it's closed, which is something that you really want. You want a good solid lockup. $4.99. So I do have Crosman silicone chamber lube, and they say about 1 to 2 drops every 250 shots, which we're going to be approaching that actually pretty soon at the rate we're going. So we got pretty steady 500s plus with hyper pellets. 5.25. So let's go back to a couple of 7.4 grains. $4.91. So we're pretty close to that up to $4.95 rating, which is good. So they say over time, of course, it's going to be a lot more consistent in its shots. That's a 496, 1 foot per second over the rated max velocity. Of course, pellet weights are never consistent either, one pellet to the next. So that does make it hard sometimes unless you're weighing every single pellet. So I would say so far this gun is doing a far sight better than the last one. I've got darn near twice as many rounds out of this thing already as I did on the first gun, and so far no problems. Alright, so we'll call it quits there for now. So the next test, of course, you're going to see, we're going to do an accuracy test. I dialed the scope elevation up a full turn and a half from what I'm seeing on my target over here, which I'll give you a little view of that too. So I just shot this like in the shop from like, oh, wrong one. There we go. This was just shot in the shop from about 6 feet, and I raised it, like I said, a turn and a half. And looking through the scope, and I was kind of like, oh, is this thing going to like go crazy on me? So at a turn and a half, let's see what actually happened here. Like I said, I'm about 6 feet away. Well, that was definitely a dumb move going that high, I guess. Oh no, we're still up a bit. That just shot out of the back of the target. So we didn't really move up a whole lot there for a turn and a half. Let's try one more. Let's hit one of the lower targets. So that's actually hitting a little on the low side. Anyways, we'll work out the bugs either way. Get it all figured out. In the meantime, I gotta wait for the wind to die, and then we can sight this thing in outside and have some fun with it. So, hey, instant for you. Alright guys, we're out with the Phoenix. It is a bit windy out here, so I've been dialing in as best as I can based upon the wind. Okay, and it's actually not doing too bad. So we're going to shoot a target for you guys and see what we're going to get. I have no idea what the wind speed is. I know that trees are blowing and stuff, as you can see, and I got to take a few seconds between shots, but we're definitely going to get this done for you, and then we'll talk about the rest of the rifle. So I've got a fresh target downrange here. I will zoom in so you can see it has been not shot at yet. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this zoomed in. Actually, no, we'll leave it zoomed out. We'll show you the target after we're done. Anyhow, so the replacement gun is shooting fine. I have not cleaned it. I have not oiled it. I've put over 300 rounds through this puppy today, and it's still going good. So it looks maybe our first gun was just a bum gun, which can happen. Now I am using a kind of a makeshift bipod, so it kind of swims a little bit on me, so I gotta watch when I pull the trigger. I've messed with the adjustable trigger a little bit and found it doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot. Looks like it's actually pretty close to oh, it's a little higher. So the target I shot before this, I got about 2 or 3 bullseyes anyways. Not dead center, but in that middle hole anyway. That's a dead-on bullseye. Nice. So the gun is liking the Crosman pointed pellets, so I guess I'm going to have to stock up. Not bad. That was me. It's hard to hold the little makeshift bipod completely steady. There is a way to mount a regular bipod on this synthetic stock though. You gotta use your imagination, but I think I'll be able to pull it off. So I'm going to put a few more rounds through this, so it gives us a good idea. The wind is starting to die down, which is good. Considering it's got some wind out here, and this is 177 cal at very close to 500 feet per second, as you've seen from the Chrony, it's doing pretty good. Try backing off this adjustable trigger screw a little bit. See if that helps a little bit. Got a bit of a long throw on the first stage. I jerked it. Alright, we'll put 3 more rounds through and we'll check our target. Alright, last one. Need a bullseye, need a bullseye. Ah, I really need a proper bipod. Let's go check the target in. Well, looks like we got about 2 of them at least in the same hole for the bullseye. So that wasn't too bad. So there's our target. So the grouping isn't bad. I mean, considering this is out in the wind, and you know, I'm running this makeshift bipod. I'll show this thing to you guys here. So this is my little makeshift bipod here. Not the best solution in the world, okay? But it does work for the most part. Can't complain too much. But I think what we'll do is we'll shoot one more group of just 6 shots and see where things actually land with this thing. I'm going to have to take my time between shots and try and wait for dull spots as best as I can. So let me just go down range here and put the new target in so you can see this is a blank target. So, wind will interfere with shooting, obviously, and I've heard that you should actually sight a gun in some form of a bit of a wind anyway, because if you are a competition shooter, of course, you don't know what's going to be there for weather, and it's easy to make a couple of clicks if it's calmer than to have to go all crazy. That one shot low. Really low. I was aiming right for the bullseye. The wind comes up in a little gust at the wrong time, and it definitely throws you off. I'm going to try and do a compensation shot. This is not a mil-dot scope, but oh, that kind of worked. wind's really picking up now. Let's see what that does to my final shot here. I'm probably past my final, I know. Alright, that's it. Let's go get the target. Well, that's amazingly embarrassing. But that's what the wind can do anyways. The wind was a little stronger this time than on the last one. Yeah, way different. So this target wasn't quite as good. However, I think we should be making a review of this gun next. That'll be on a separate video, because I know this one's rather long. But I am overall pleased with the rifle. It's functioning fine, at least better than the last one did. And like this tin of pellets was like stuffed to the gills with way more than 500 rounds in it. Like it was right. I filled it myself from a milk carton. So I've gone through all that today. So definitely over 300 rounds have been peeled through this gun. And no failures, no problems. The speed has been fine. I've had no hiccups at all with the piston on this one, so that's actually quite good. But we'll talk about in the review everything that I have found with the gun, and we'll discuss it further. So stay tuned for that video. That'll be uploaded right after this one, so it'll be like a back-to-back thing for you guys. So almost instant on that one. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the next one.